Hello, and welcome back to the road to 1600. I'm starting off at 808 today, and through a series of bad moves from myself and my opponent, we end up in quite the endgame. Now, I know this video is a bit on the longer side, but I would love to hear your feedback on how you would have handled this game kind of before and after all of the different moves happen. And if you're just finding this channel for the first time, feel free to subscribe as we continue to grow. And with that, let's jump in. Okay, let's dive into this game. We are starting off at 808, so just over that halfway point, and we are going up against a 786 from France. So let's dive in. I'm playing as white here, and I am starting off with the E4, and I see a Caro Kann right off the start. So what do? Panic. Absolutely panic. And what I'm learning from my opening games, and because this video is a little bit longer, I'm going to let it play a little bit more because the end game does get a little drawn out. So I'm going to let this play to try to keep this video at a reasonable length. So I see the Caro Kann, I recognize it, but I don't necessarily remember what all I'm supposed to do. So I try to play a little bit aggressively here and try to take advantage of those central squares and move that knight out of here. But again, I don't really have a plan. I know I need to develop some pieces out. That's some things that I've been working on, trying not to keep everything in-house and try to have it actually get out into the field and do a little bit more for me. But where exactly, when exactly, I think I need to work on. I think I need to study up a little bit more. So I'll let this play a little bit more here. And he gives me a pretty good move here by pushing up that c-pawn. I should have taken, hindsight 2020, but he pushes that c-pawn right up and threatens that bishop, so I have to retreat that bishop. And now he's got a pretty wicked pawn structure. 4 pawns all in a row, ranging from f over to c. And this is what I really don't like. This is something I'm going to have to get way better at, is dealing with the early aggressive queen. I panic, I freak out, I don't remember what to do. I just know I need to get this queen out of here. So I start playing a little bit of offense, try to kick this queen out. Okay, let's put some more pressure on the queen. Let's try to get the queen out of there. But by doing so, I stop playing defense, and I end up in a bad spot, and it looks like I'm going to lose some material here. So let this go, and he slides right up to take my knight, which I left hanging because I just was so focused on trying to get that queen out of here. And I'm playing a 15-minute game, which 10 seconds per move gets added on after each move. So I don't really need to worry about time here. But if you look at my clock already compared to his, I'm playing way faster. I'm not thinking about my moves as much. And at this point, I say, all right, let's trade queens. Your queen is in a much better position than mine. I need to get your queen out of here. Let's just make it happen. Let's do a deal. Let's make a trade. All right, cool. Works for me. Probably should have taken with one of my rooks to get the rooks out. But I was just so focused on getting that queen out of here. So I like to take with my king instead of the pawn here because I don't want to double up my pawns. Then I can always move my king back to safety because he doesn't have a ton of other pieces developed. And I think I should have taken this opportunity to try to get some more pieces out into the field as opposed to just erasing the immediate threat, because he was only attacking me with like 1 or 2 pieces at a time, and I think I overreacted to those pieces coming into my space and not properly developing my plan. So he continues to build up a good pawn structure. I try to break the pawn structure a little bit. I'm willing to just get a little chink in the armor just to try to break that strong middle line there he has. But again, I'm going to let this play for a little bit longer because we end up just moving some pawns around, moving some pieces. Nothing too crazy for right now. But that F file becomes very important as this game progresses. And so I see his knight threatening to come down and get into my zone a little bit, and so I want to make sure I protect that that bishop there on f2. So, okay, I figured he would move there. I have it protected, so it's going to slide over to try to put some more pressure onto his space there. He's put me into check, but he's also left his knight hanging a little bit. So he can go ahead and take, but he left his knight hanging. And so I was down material the whole game until now. And so then he's got both of my knights and my queen, and I have a bishop, a knight, and a queen of his. So kind of mistakes by both parties so far. But what the big issue right now is that I only have 4 pawns left. And that's going to come into a big factor here towards we get into the long endgame. Yeah, those pawns that I sacrificed early on are going to come back to bite me. But again, I'm going to let this play because it is a bit of a longer game. If you notice, our clocks are going to go down here pretty quick. He's taking a lot of time, and I'm thinking in the back of my mind, okay, I'm not playing great, but if I can get him to expire his clock, maybe I have something. And so I thought I was pretty slick here, moving my bishop up to e7. And I'm looking at that e6 pawn. So if he slides over, I put pressure on his rook there. I could take that pawn on e6, threaten his knight or his bishop, but I also would have put him in check previously. So then he would have taken my bishop. My rook would have slid up to take his bishop. Yes, we trade bishops, but I end up in a better position with my rook. But I had to keep an eye on that d4 rook, or that knight, because that knight could just slide up and erase what I thought was a genius plan. So I had to keep an eye on that, and I wanted to get that knight to move at some point. So I see a free pawn. I just run in there and take it. I'm still looking at that e6 space, but I need to figure out how to try to get that. So I figured, all right, if I can get that knight to move, maybe I can enact my plan and start to put some pressure. So he sees the threat on the knight as well. So let's just double up that threat on the knight there. Okay, he's kind of boxing everything in. So let's just go ahead and trade bishops, because my bishop wasn't doing anything, and so I kind of had to abandon my plan a little bit. So at this point, we're pretty close to even material outside of the pawns. I blundered my knight earlier. He left his knight hanging out earlier. We were able to take those unencumbered. But now we're getting into kind of this endgame area, and I'm going to need to figure out how to survive this with only 2 pawns. So letting this play a little bit more. That pawn's creeping up. Okay, he's threatening my pawn there. We'll just bump him up because he's protected by that bishop there. So he slides over, gives me an opportunity to, again, put some more pressure on that knight. He's only got a minute left. I was thinking, let me just make some quick moves, put the ball back into his court quickly, and then hopefully he might panic a little bit and rush to make a decision, make a bad decision, or just run out the clock. So that knight was in my way. My bishop wasn't doing a whole lot, so I said, all right, we'll take that. 2 pieces for 1. I can deal with that. So now we both have 2 rooks. But again, those pawns, I'm down to 1 pawn and 2 rooks. So now we enter quite the dance. It's just back and forth, and immediately I mess up. What's new? And give him one of my rooks. But I say, all right, if you're going to take one of my rooks, I'm going to take one of your rooks. So go ahead, slide over. I'm going to slide over as well. So now I'm down to just 2 main pieces on the board. Now I'm down to 1 main piece on the board. So now I got to get real creative and try to figure out how to do this. And we go through this song and dance for quite some time. I'm just going to let this roll because we just go back and forth. And I'm keeping an eye on his clock this whole time. All right, make quick moves, put the ball into his court, and hopefully I can figure something out. Because I know you can deliver a checkmate with a king and a rook. Keep the knight position, play strategically, but I got to deal with these pawns that are left. And I just have to figure out how, try not to make any huge mistakes. But right now it's not looking good because we can do what looks like a turtle race with all these pawns trying to get down to my back row and promote up to queens. Yeah, not looking great. Still just going to let this one ride. I'm not going to pause this at all because, again, this does go on for quite some time. But it's just back and forth, running up and down the board, trying to make something happen. He goes into the red there again with his clock, puts me into check. I stay with my rook. I can't leave my rook unattended. All right, now I have the opportunity to come down. He's only got 2 pawns left. Maybe we can make this happen. So I'm sliding my king over. Maybe I can try to get his pawn. And this is kind of where I'm thinking to myself, I'm doing the mental math real quick. Okay, if I slide over to the right, if he takes my rook, do I have enough time to slide over and take his new queen, or should I try to take his rook and then jump over? Do I have enough time to be able to do that with how many spaces are left in the board? But again, I was trying to put the ball into his court pretty quick, and so I moved one over, and I don't think I had enough time to get over back to the right to try to put pressure on that queen, and maybe I would have had a chance if I was, I don't know, maybe I should have gone over and taken his queen first and then dealt with the rook, or I don't know. And I just try to make this as difficult as possible. But as you can see, because you get 10 seconds more per move, his clock is going back up, and I'm just sitting here with just a queen or king left, and all it's going to take is one more move, and that'll be it. So tough endgame, long endgame there. Blunder by me, blunder by him. Just the pawns, just the leftover pawns that I sacrificed in the early game. Turns out I would come in to need them. So back under 700 at the end of this game. If you've made it this far, thank you. Hugely appreciated. I think I need to add some more structure into my routine in the early game to make sure that I'm setting myself up for the late game, setting myself up for multiple attacks while also playing defense. So I think I need to study a little bit more. I know I need to be better at leaving pieces out to dry. I've done that in the past. And yeah, just need to practice. And, I haven't been playing online all that much. And so I think as I play more, not against the computer, I'll get to see some more strategies, get to practice some more, some different looks. And I think, I'll be coming out a little bit better as each game goes on. But I appreciate you guys being here. If this is the first video you've seen, I would love a subscription to the channel as we continue to grow. And so I appreciate it. Thank you so much, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.